Getting lean is going to completely change your success with women. Now, I used to be skinny fat, and as you can imagine, my confidence wasn't that high, and my results with women, terrible. Now, fast forward to today, about 2.5 years later, and my physique looks something like this. Now, my confidence shot through the roof. I have more confidence than 10 men put together. And my success with women, also through the roof. You wouldn't believe how easy it is. I don't even have to try. Half the time, the women approach me. Now, what you have to understand is the cornerstone of building an attractive physique and therefore greatly improving your success with women is getting lean. Getting to a low body fat percentage is honestly the highest ROI thing that you can do in order to greatly improve your success with women. So in this video, I'll tell you everything you need to know about how getting lean affects you positively and also my step-by-step approach on how to get there. Now, in terms of building an attractive physique, which is what we're trying to do, body fat percentage is the most important thing. It's more important than building muscle. A lot of guys don't seem to understand that. They think that if they go to the gym, they build some muscle, that's it. Girls are going to find them sexy. No, that's not how that works. Like I said before, the highest ROI thing that you can do to get an attractive physique is get absolutely shredded. 10% body fat, 11% body fat, even single digit body fat. That's going to give you a higher return on interest than any amount of muscle will. Now, don't get it twisted and go and forget about building muscle. No, that is extremely important for building an attractive physique, and you won't have an attractive physique unless you go to the gym and build muscle. But this is about losing body fat, and that is going to be more important than building muscle, because if you build a physique, nice physique, lats, shoulders, upper chest, or whatever, if you're at a high body fat percentage, it doesn't matter the amount of muscle you have underneath. Nobody's going to see it. No girl is going to be like, oh, he's got abs, he's got veins. No. I'm putting the physique aside for just 1 second. Everyone has a skull, right? Everyone has a cranium. Now, if you look, say, go on Google, for example, and look at the shape of a human skull. Look how angular it is. Look how defined it is. Everyone has one of them inside their head. Now, if you're not lean, you won't see that. You won't see the jawline. You won't see your cheekbones. Most people, you can't see that because they're too fat. Once you get to a low body fat percentage, now you're going to see what you actually look like. Imagine, most people don't know what they actually look like because they've got too much fat distorting all their features. That's insane for me to think about. Like, you can lose 5 to 10% of body fat and look like a completely different person. Most people just never get there. So once you've lost that body fat, now you're going to see what your face actually looks like. And more often than not, it's going to be attractive. Now, when you're losing body fat, there is a threshold effect. Now, what this means in simple terms is, if you're losing body fat from 25 to 20%, you're not really going to see that much different. Of course, you'll look a bit better. Any body fat loss is good, but it's not going to be as pronounced as if you're losing body fat from 15 to 10%. It's the same percentage change, 5% each time, right? But 15 to 10% is going to have a much greater impact than 25 to 20 or even 20 to 15 will. If you go from 15 to 10, now you're going to go from like, oh yeah, I just look like this is how I look, I'm just mediocre, to, oh shit, I actually look good, I actually have muscles, I actually have a nice face. It's insane. Now, of course, getting from like 25 to 20% body fat is going to be a lot easier than getting from 15 to 10. You just stop eating fucking Doritos all day to get from 25 to 20. But from 15 to 10, you start taking a bit more serious. You're tracking your calories and so on, that I'll talk about. Now, the range of body fat that you want to be in as a man is going to be 8 to 15% body fat. For me personally, because this is about building an attractive physique, 15% is going to be excessive. That's worst case scenario. If you like fuck up your maintenance calories, you get 15% by accident, then you're like, oh shit, I actually need to cut now. For me personally, it's going to be more like 8 to 12% body fat. 8 to 12% body fat, now you're actually going to start seeing amazing positive effects from women, from men, whatever. You're going to start seeing, oh shit, I actually look sick. Now, this is me at around 13% body fat, I'd say, to give a rough estimate, right? You can't really ever say accurately exactly what body fat percentage you are, but let's just say 13% for this example. Now, as you can see, I was having a great time. So you can still make it work with higher body fat percentages. Like, our standards, bear in mind, are a lot higher than the majority of men's. 13% body fat is going to be reaching the top threshold, right? Because we want to build a physique that's very attractive to most women. And are most guys very attractive to most women? No. But then again, most guys are not 8, 9, 10, 11% body fat. So if you want to have that result, You need to put in the action and get to that level. But as you can see from that video I showed, 13% is still alright. It's going to be better than most men, and especially when you've got developed muscle mass like I have, it's going to be better than pretty much all men. Now the lower threshold of body fat is going to be around 8%. It does depend genetically, but once you start getting a bit below there, now your body starts to break down. You're probably going to be at higher risk of losing muscle mass. It's like what bodybuilders do for prep competitions. They get too lean, maybe 5%, 6%, and it really wrecks their hormones. So we don't really want to go there, because imagine you've got to a low body fat percentage, you've got veins everywhere, veins from head to toe, you're 5-6% body fat, something crazy like that, and your dick can't even rise. You've done all that work to get to a low body fat percentage to be attractive to women, and you can't even fuck them because you've wrecked your hormones. So we probably won't go that low. Now let's get into how you can start to transform your body and turn you into a fucking lean machine. First of all, we want to roughly determine what our starting body fat percentage is. You can look online, there's loads of graphs and charts, 10, 15, 20%. You can look at all of them and just try to estimate what your body fat percentage is. I wouldn't recommend going for these machines that like scan your body for body fat percentage, because every time I've used them, they've been so inaccurate. They've said I'm like 20% body fat. If I'm 20% body fat, I think the world is fucking broken. So I wouldn't recommend using those types of machines. I just do a visual test. I think the most accurate method is a DEXA scan, but of course that's expensive and there's still a little margin of error as well. Now, once you've determined your approximate body fat percentage, you can now set a realistic time frame for how lean you want to get. If you're 25% body fat, let's not take the piss and think you're going to turn into fucking Brad Pitt from Fight Club in 3 weeks. No, it's going to take several months of consistent hard dieting, no cheats. And don't think you have to look obese to be a high body fat percentage. A lot of people are just skinny fat. They look slim and skinny if they're wearing, you know, oversized clothes or something, but they actually have a lot of fat all over their body, in their arse, in their belly, everywhere. So chances are that you are pretty high percentage of body fat and you actually need to cut as well. Now, there isn't a one size fits all for exactly how long it's going to take to lose exactly this amount of body fat percentage. Everyone's going to be slightly different, but what you can do is just determine your progress as you go along. So you start your deficit, you start your cut, and you know, 1 month later, how am I looking? How much of a difference is there from when I started? 2 months later, same thing. You get the point. Now, for determining your calorie deficit. Now, a calorie deficit means you eat less food than you need to maintain your weight. Now, that weight loss can come from muscle, can come from water, can come from glycogen, can come from fat. We're obviously most interested in the fat loss. So in the next section, I'll talk about how to optimize for just fat loss. But to determine your actual calorie deficit, what you have to do is go into tdeecalculator.net or any TDEE calculator. That's basically a total daily expenditure calculator that will let you know roughly how many calories you need to maintain your weight per day. Now, once you've got that number, you can then subtract calories from it. For a standard cut, it's around 500 calorie deficit. That's what I do when I'm just trying to have an easy cut, you know. You don't feel that hungry, you can maintain it pretty easily. If you want to lose weight fast, it's possible. You just have to have a higher calorie deficit. So not really 500, but maybe 1,000. 1,500 if you're crazy. I really wouldn't recommend that. But I'd say a maximum of around 1,000 calories, and you're going to see quicker progress, but it is harder to obviously manage your hunger and this and that. But I'll give you techniques for that as well. If you go for a bit more of an extreme calorie deficit and you start to feel like absolute shit, you're tired all the time, you're getting ill quickly, then that's probably a sign that you should actually scale it back a little bit. I've made that mistake in the past before where I've done an absolutely crazy calorie deficit, like 1,500, even 2,000 calories, because I'm playing sports sometimes, which leads to a higher maintenance. And I think I'm Superman, I can lose weight fast. Yeah, rapid. No, I would get ill, I would have slower recovery. It's just not worth it overall. So I would say take your calorie deficit as high as you can comfortably maintain without feeling like absolute shit. So once you've actually got your amount of calories roughly that you need to eat to lose weight, you can adjust this as you go along. See if you're losing weight, see how rapidly you're losing weight, use a scale, weigh yourself every morning, and you can assess from there if you need to increase your calories or if you need to decrease your calories. But what should your calories actually consist of? First of all, protein. You need 1 gram per pound of body weight or 2.2 grams per kilo. This is a good protein threshold just in general, not just for a cut, but for a cut especially, you want to keep your protein high because you're going to feel more satiated And you don't want your body to start eating away at the protein in your muscles. That's going to be contradictory to building an attractive physique. So for example, right now I'm around 170 pounds. So I'm going to eat 170 grams of protein every day, each day. You can have more, that's perfectly fine. If you want to eat more, it's going to make you feel more satiated, which is better for a calorie deficit as well. But the minimum should be around 170, 1 gram per pound of body weight. Once you know how much protein you should be eating, now you fill out the rest of your macros with carbs and fats. For a cut, I've tried a lot of things. I've tried like keto diet, carnivore diet, low carbs, high carbs, everything. And you can do what works for you. If you feel less hungry on keto, you can do that. But it's probably going to affect your performance in the gym whilst you're on the deficit a little bit. What I would recommend, and what I do personally for all my cuts now, is keep my carbs as high as possible whilst lowering the fats to basically the minimum that I need for optimal hormone function. The minimum amount of fat that you need for decent hormone function is going to be around 0.33 grams fat per pound of body weight. I would say 0.4 just to make it safe. So for me, who's 170 pounds, I'm getting 50 to 60 grams of fat per day. Now you've got the minimum fat, you've got the minimum protein that you need per day. You just fill the rest with your carbs. So for me, it's around 170 grams of carbs. The higher the carbs, the better, because it's going to fuel your muscles. It's going to fill them up with glycogen and water, which is going to lead to better performance in the gym, which means you can actually gain muscle whilst you're in a deficit, because fat loss and muscle building are different processes. That's a complicated topic, but basically the thing to take away is you can actually build muscle whilst you're in a deficit, especially if you're at a high body fat percentage or if you're new in the gym. Now, the glycogen and water in your muscles from eating plenty of carbohydrates is also going to make you look better as you cut, which is important. Now, that's all the technical stuff with the macros out of the way. I'll give you some practical advice for your meal planning. Now, I eat the same meals every day. When I'm on a cut, for example, like now, my main meal is consisting of 5% lean beef and rice. That's it. My breakfast is skyr yogurt, kiwi, dark chocolate, and honey. That's it. I eat the same thing day in, day out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30 days in a row. Same meals, same times. This type of programming with your meals is going to make it so much easier to cut. It's going to make your deficit go so much more smoothly. You don't have to worry about what you're going to eat. You don't have to worry about how many calories, how many macros it's got in it. You know, okay, I'm going to eat this at this time. I'm going to do this every day. I'm going to do this for months and I'm going to get shredded. That's how it works. You don't need variety, balance, this and that. Fuck that. You don't need that. Do you want to get shredded or not? Do you want to be attractive or not? This is the easiest way. So if you want to get there, just do what's easiest. It's not easy to eat different foods and plan it all every day. Even me, I've got 3-4 experiences cooking for myself every single day. It's not easy. Now, of course, you can have a few different meals that, for example, Monday I eat sweet potato and chicken. Tuesday I eat beef and rice. Thursday I eat cauliflower and fucking tuna. And then you rinse and repeat those. But you shouldn't be going out and thinking like, should I have a steak today? Should I have salmon today? Should I have this? Should I have that? You should know what you're eating every day. That's going to make the adherence to the diet so much easier. And that's what I've been doing since I started lifting weights. Even when I'm not in a deficit, I still eat pretty much the same foods every day because it just gives you that level of consistency. You know, I'm eating enough protein, I'm eating enough carbs, I'm eating enough fats. I don't have to constantly be going through the macros in my head. Of course, when you're not in a deficit, you can be a bit more flexible, you know. You should still track your calories 100%. But if you want a fucking toffee fudge cake one day, it's not going to make or break anything, you know. You're not dieting down. But when you're dieting down, try to be as strict as possible. You're going to fail, you're going to have cheats. I've done it, everyone's done it. But really minimize them to the absolute lowest level that you can go to. Okay, that's pretty much all the food stuff out of the way. I'll talk about some hunger management techniques later. But right now, we're going to go into training optimization. How can you train to preserve your muscle mass and lose fat as effectively as possible? And it's simpler than you think. When you're in a deficit, you train your muscles the exact same way as if you weren't in a deficit. You don't do any special fucking fat burning protocol. What built you that muscle is going to be what's keeping that muscle when you're in a calorie deficit. The only thing that you should be doing differently in the gym when you're in a deficit is adding in cardio. Now, what type of cardio? We're not doing any special fat burning workouts, fat burning this, fat burning that. No. The cardio is very simple. You're going to get on the Stairmaster or you're going to get on the incline treadmill and you're going to walk for like 45 minutes, an hour if you want. I do 45 minutes. An hour is too fucking boring. That's the only thing we need to add into our sessions. If you don't already do some type of cardio like sports or fucking pounding girls like I do, then you need to do the incline treadmill or the Stairmaster. For the incline treadmill, you just do a fast walk at a relatively steep incline. Like, I don't know what type of treadmills you have, but for me in the UK, it's like 9 on the treadmill, 6 or 9. And you do a fast walk like 3 miles an hour, 3.5 miles an hour, and that should be good to get a little bit of a sweat on. You shouldn't be breathing heavy. Like, if you're breathing too heavily, then you probably lower the incline or lower the speed. It should be intense enough where you can feel yourself working, but you can still breathe normally through your nose. You do that for 45 minutes, and all the calories that you burn doing that are gonna come from the fat. When you do like these fucking stupid fat burning workouts that are doing high intensity cardio, you're just taking glycogen from your muscle. You're still gonna lose weight because it's still calories in, calories out. But some of that weight can just be glycogen and water. We don't want to lose glycogen. We want to lose body fat. That's what's gonna make us look fucking sexy. Now, when you're doing cardio, always make sure to do it after your weightlifting session. You can do it separately, with a few hours in between if you want, but if you're doing just incline walking, you don't really need to do that. Straight after your lifting session, hop on the treadmill and that's it. The reason for that is if you do your cardio before your lifting session, you might actually impact the lifting negatively because you might be a little bit tired from the cardio, you might miss a rep here or there. But if you do it after, it doesn't make a difference anyways. Also, if you're in the minority of men that gets the fuck girls for cardio, like me, then you have a bit of a pump from your muscles, you look nice and sexy, so she might suck your dick a little bit better. Now, when you're losing body fat in a deficit, there might be a few things you have to tweak just in your lifestyle in general. Now, one of these things is going to be your sleep. It's more important to make sure you sleep well when you're in a deficit because sleep basically manages the hunger hormone called ghrelin. Now, to put it simply, if you sleep like shit, you're going to feel like shit and you're going to want to eat more. You're going to be more hungry if you sleep less. That's literally how it works. So you should be doing it in general, to be honest, but especially when you're in a deficit, make sure you're getting high quality sleep, plenty of hours. I recommend 9-10 hours of sleep. Now, this might seem a bit excessive to some people. You're literally chronically sleep deprived, so I don't give a fuck. But if you've never slept like 9-10 hours a night consistently, then there's probably a lot of optimization you can do with your sleep environment and whatever. But you do start to feel like a superhuman if you're used to just being sleep deprived. Very quickly, sleep in a cold, dark room. Don't eat a couple hours before bed, give or take. And make sure you're winding down before you go to sleep. So about an hour before bed, no more screens, just relax, read a book, stretch, whatever you want to do. There is also a bit of a social sacrifice that you have to be okay with if you actually want to build the most attractive physique possible. Now, if you have friends that are inviting you out 1-2 times a week to go and drink alcohol and eat at disgusting restaurants that, you have no idea what the calories are in your food, then to be honest with you, you can't be doing that. For example, when you drink alcohol, the fat burning process in the body stops completely. Because it's a poison, the body has to get rid of it as fast as possible. So any fat burning that was going on is going to stop to make way for the clearing of the alcohol. Not to mention the additional calories that are in alcohol. You'd be surprised how much some of these alcohol drinks have. Now, I'm not saying you can't drink alcohol at all. I don't drink that often, but if I drink, I'm already going to be shredded. It's much better to drink when you're on holiday and you're fucking peeled to the bone, you have veins and you have girls looking at you, than to drink in your hometown with just a few friends and you're fucking obese anyway, so you're not really enjoying it that much. In terms of food, say your friends invite you out to a restaurant, you can go, you just need to know how many calories is in what you're eating. You can go as extreme as to bring a scale with you. You probably won't do that because you're a fucking pussy. Most restaurants nowadays have the nutritional information, so make sure you get that. Make sure you record it, MyFitnessPal, tracking up for your calories. And yeah, just make sure it fits within your calories for the day and you'll be okay. But like I said earlier, it is more useful to just eat the same things every day. You really don't want to be going out to eat like 3-4 times a week because it's just going to inevitably make it a lot harder for you to keep on your deficit. Now, how long will it take you to start seeing results from your deficit? Like I said earlier, there is a threshold effect, so you're going to start seeing results a lot quicker if you're going from 15 to 10% than from 25 to 20. But in a pound of fat, there's 3,500 calories. So you can estimate exactly how long it will take you to lose a certain amount of fat, however much that is. So for example, if you're doing a 500 calorie deficit every week consistently, no cheats, let's just say you're a perfect human being. In 7 days, 500 times 7, That's 3,500 calories, 1 pound of fat. So per week, you're going to lose exactly 1 pound of fat. 8 weeks, around 2 months, 8 pounds of fat. So you can estimate exactly how long it's going to take you to lose a certain amount of weight. If you're already like 12% body fat and you go ahead and lose just like 3 pounds of fat, that's going to have quite a noticeable visual difference. But if you're 23% body fat and you lose 3 pounds of fat, I'm going to be honest, nobody will fucking care. So the most important thing is to get lean, get to a very low body fat percentage. And you can fluctuate within the range. Like I said, 8 to maximum 15% body fat. So then once you're at somewhere inside that range, it won't take you that long to go from looking good, decent to looking fucking amazing. Once you start to get to around like 11, 10% body fat, that's when women start to look at you like, who the fuck is that guy? Like Conor McGregor. Who the fuck is that guy? Why is he so fucking shredded? Why is he looking like a Hollywood actor? Now, when you do go from like average body fat percentage, plus 15% to very lean, 10% or around about there, you're going to see a lot of increased attraction from women. For example, I was in a beach club in Mallorca, and this was one of the first like cuts that I did where I actually got pretty lean for the holiday specifically. So I was just sitting there, I was just chilling, and there's like 4, 5, 6 girls that were approaching me. Just I might stand up and show my abs a little bit, and there's a girl that just comes and approaches me. And you can have that as well, because most guys are not 10% body fat. There was nobody else there that was 10% body fat like I was. So it's honestly not that difficult. It's pretty simple to get there. Honestly, sometimes you get overwhelmed by the attention that you get from women, but it's a good problem to have. Now, what do you do when you feel like you're stuck at a plateau, you're not really losing any weight anymore? First of all, ask yourself, am I actually stuck, or has it just been 2 days and I've not seen anything? If so, then just be patient. But sometimes you might actually not be losing any weight. And what that means is basically you're just eating at your maintenance calories now. Something happened, either you stopped exercising as much, you stopped walking as much, you increased your calories without even knowing. Basically, the amount of calories that you've eaten has creeped up somehow, one way or another, or the amount of calories that you're expending day to day has decreased. So what you have to do is just go ahead and reanalyze your caloric maintenance. You might have lost enough weight so that your caloric maintenance has actually decreased as well. So you just drop your calories a little bit, Now, if you're getting hungry whilst you're in a deficit, for starters, you're going to be hungry sometimes. It's just how it is. You just have to be a man about it and just shut the fuck up, really. But sometimes you can be excessively hungry. Now, there's healthy ways and like unhealthy ways to manage your hunger. I'll talk about the healthy ones first. First of all, like I mentioned before, actually, make sure your protein is high. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient, which means it's the food that keeps you the most full. So make sure you're eating at least 1 gram per pound, even more if you're feeling hungry for some reason. The second thing is water. Just make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Sparkling water helps a lot for me as well, because you can buy flavored sparkling water that tastes nice and it just fills up your stomach like the gas and whatnot. You can fill your carbs with fruits and vegetables that have plenty of water content, like melons, cucumbers, lettuce, stuff like that. And that leads me on to the next thing, which is fiber. Fiber is also very satiating, slows down your digestion, so everything you've eaten takes longer to travel through your stomach, which makes you feel less hungry. Now, for the slightly unhealthy ways that you can manage your hunger, first of all, you can abuse caffeine, like pre-workout, energy drinks, coffee, whatever you want. Fucking ram all that caffeine down you, because caffeine just makes you stop feeling hungry. It's an appetite suppressant. Now, the second thing is nicotine. Now, nicotine, I don't smoke, I don't use any drugs. I wouldn't recommend you to do either. But if you already smoke, or if you already use like the nicotine pouches, nicotine is also an appetite suppressant, a bit like caffeine, just stronger. So you can abuse nicotine if you want. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend it, but it works. Now, the third thing, and my personal favorite, to be honest, is not even anything to do practically, it's mentally. You just imagine yourself with an 8-pack, fucking 2 blonde big ass bitches at the same time. And that should do the trick, to be honest. I don't know, it might not work for you, but it does work for me. When I just think about that, like myself on holiday, absolutely shredded, girls staring at me, that just convinces me like, yeah, fuck this, I'm just gonna deal with it. So when it feels like the results are slowing, or you're just feeling a bit hungrier than usual, do that mental practice and it should convince you. You want the results more than you want that food. So you need to have the mindset that everything in your life is going to be better when you're lean. And to be honest with you, it's actually true. But you need to have that mindset so that cutting seems easy. Everything in your life is going to improve. So the little hunger that you're going to deal with, it's not even an issue. And when you combine being lean with the developed muscle mass to have an attractive V-taper physique, it's insane. The whole world will open up to you. You start fucking girls in bathrooms and all sorts. Anyways, if you took value from this video, drop a like, subscribe, and watch this video next.